We are back in the spot because I have more book recommendations. I also think I'm wearing the same exact sweater as the last book recs video that I made, but I am forever an outfit repeater. But I am Stephanie. I like to make videos reflecting on media culture and everyday life. Hello if you are new, welcome back if you have been watching these videos. But today I have 4 books to recommend that are perfect to read during the springtime. The 4 books I have are The Enchanted April, The Circle, Mythologies, and If I Had Your Face. I did talk about these 2 books in 2 other videos, so apologies if you watched that and this is a little repetitive, but I do think it's worth having its own dedicated recommendation in this video. So let's start off with The Enchanted April. April is in the title of this book, so I feel like we have to read it this month. In this book, there are 2 women who apply to go to this house in Italy. And because they need more people to pay for it, they invite, I think it's either 2 or 3 other women to join them. This book, I think, does a really good job of kind of just being a chill vibe book. Like, it's set in Italy. It's perfect for vibes, but it also looks at the relationship between women and how women look at each other. And I think this was just the perfect like pre-summer read. The next book I am going to talk about is Mythologies by Roland Barthes. I love Roland Barthes. We love Society of the Spectacle on this channel, but if I had to pick another favorite, it is Roland Barthes because he had a column back in the day where in each column he would look at one piece of like cultural artifact. So this book is a collection of 53 essays reflecting on certain myths of everyday French life, and these were written and published from 1954 over a 2-year period. So he looks at movies, he looks at steak frites, he looks at novels on children, he looks at wood French toys, which I think is perfect for this current discussion about like beige aesthetic. He looks at wine and milk, he looks at The Writer on Vacation. The Writer on Vacation I read right after Brandon Sanderson went on vacation and came back with a book. These are really short chapters. This was a column, so each chapter is like 2 to... Okay, this was a long one. But most of them are like 2 to 8 pages long, so I think this is perfect if you want to sit down on your back porch or on a patio somewhere or at the park and just whip this out and read like a chapter at a time. I do not read this one in order. I pick it up and I see what I want to read about that day, and that's how I go about reading this book. And I think this is a great book for reflecting on cultural artifacts and what they say about greater society. Okay, this book, The Circle, I already talked about on this channel, but I do think that this is a good book to recommend for the springtime and to reflect on the world around us. So in The Circle, the main character is a girl named May Holland who is hired to work for The Circle, the world's most powerful internet company. And this book, it's 500 pages long, which I didn't really believe when I first like picked it up. Anyway, it has really good dialogue. And what they do well with the dialogue is it really gets at that techno-deterministic language of tech and social media and the role of technology in society. And it just really drills in that like, here we have a problem, oh, here's that technology to fix it. And during the springtime, I feel like maybe this is because I am an academic at heart and I do a lot of my readings and papers and stuff in the springtime, but I feel like now is a good time to be reading books like this, because often in the summer I'm like, oh no, I just want a fun little beach read, but the springtime is when I'm in my like critical reading mode. I have to say the main character is absolutely insufferable, but I do think that adds to the like frustration and that like, again, techno-deterministic language, and I feel like you really get inside her head and you really look at these artifacts as serving the better human population, and like it's just really frustrating to read, and you know, I recommend it. And the last book I have to recommend is If I Had Your Face. I also mentioned this in another video, but at that point I hadn't read it. This book is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be it is a book about friendship. I, going into it, thought it was going to be a book about 4 women who become friends and live in the same apartment complex in Korea. It is so much more than that. It looks at the role of women in Korea, their relationship to each other and to men, and it also has commentary on the insane beauty standards that exist in Korea. I read this really quickly, and again, I think it's one of those perfect spring books to read that's engaging with society and culture a little bit more critically, but then also is a quick read. What did you think of those book recs, hon? So those were my 4 book recommendations for the springtime that are also critically looking at the world around us and critiquing culture and tech and all of that. So let me know if you read any of these in the comments below, and let me know what other books you are reading this spring.